Harper Finn from his debut album, Silo Park. Now based in New York City, Harper came home to Auckland recently and stopped by the 13th floor studio to tell us all about living in the Big Apple and finally releasing his first album. I think the first time I talked to you was back in like 2019.
It was, yeah.
You were just a young thing of 21.
Yeah, you were one of the first people I ever really spoke to about my music.
So there you go, here we are.
This is full circle to be back.
And you're still just getting the first album out.
I know, it's taken that long.
Why is that? Tell me a little bit of
I guess the amount of time, it's you're talking about first album 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I guess sort of going into the making of this record, I definitely wanted to sort of go through a substantial life experience. I think, I was sort of in that, early mid-20s phase of my life. I mean, I still sort of am in that phase, I feel, but I wanted to go through something and really feel like I had maybe 1 or 2 years to just really think and sit with myself and go through experiences and go through relationships, have relationships end, and then kind of come back to the writing process when I felt like, the cup was full and it was overfilling.
You had something to write about.
Yeah, it's something to write about. I mean, it's kind of one of the amazing things about being a songwriter is that you have to really live life to do the job, I think. You've got to really give yourself to experiences, give yourself to relationships. So, didn't want to rush that process because I thought if it's a first album, I want it to be something that really, when I look back on it, will really, it'll be a record of that time of my life.
Right. So I know you did a headline at the Hollywood Avondale like in 2022.
Yes.
And that was full of your songs.
Yeah, it was.
So, and none of those are on the new album.
No, yes.
So what happened to them and how have you
Well, those songs were all on the EP that came out at the time, which does, but that EP was 8 songs. So in a way it was almost like a mini album.
Yep.
But yeah, none of these songs were out or finished at that time as well. So it's there was a big breath in between. And because this record is probably, the sounds of this record are quite different perhaps from the last record, but there's still some kind of threads there that go through. But I think this record was, really kind of viewing myself or reviewing myself in a way to think about, wanting to change tack a little bit and wanting to see if I could go down a different path for a bit.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's called Silo Park, which is a place here in Auckland. But
it is.
Having heard some of these, or all of the songs, and heard you talk about them a little bit, it's all kind of based around your experience being in New York City and in Manhattan.
Yeah, totally.
So how does Silo Park relate to that?
Well, yeah, I guess it's kind of full circle in the sense that the album finishes where it starts with that song.
Okay.
There's throughout the album, as you said, there's a lot of references to being in New York, places, street names, and then all of a sudden at the very end of the record, there's a song about Silo Park, which is of course a place in Auckland, a place I used to go to as a teenager. Laneway Festival used to be there.
Right.
It was a good, during the days basketball courts there, so we'd hang out there during the day, but had a very memorable experience there walking at night. Finding out that it's not the sort of safest place, or at least the most sort of it's not a comfortable place to walk around perhaps late at night. And so I just liked the idea of the album having, it just kind of throws you off the scent a little bit. It is the last song on the album, so I quite like it leaving you with more questions than answers. Right. And I think, of course, it being the title track just gets people to take a second look at it, and people sort of lean in and really try to figure out, just give the song a bit more attention, which I like, because it's probably the most obscure song I've got. It doesn't really follow any structural kind of. There's no kind of structure to it. There's no kind of. The arrangement of it is just really bizarre, and I think the lyrics, the sounds, the chords, some flat 5 minor 7 chords in there. Like it's a very peculiar song, and I just like it getting a little bit more attention than the other songs.
Gotcha. So now, you've gone from a place not safe to walk around in the dark here in Auckland, so you decided to move to Manhattan.
I decided to move to Manhattan,
which for a lot of people defines the place. Not necessarily me, but there are people who are
I would say
of
the difference is that Auckland can feel like a ghost town sometimes when you're like walking around at night, and a sound or a rustle of a bush can be a little bit more ominous, whereas in New York, you're just constantly surrounded by people. It's very rare that you would be on a street by yourself, ever.
So why New York? You could have moved to LA, to London, to Sydney. I mean, there's many options.
I think New York just because I just really liked how intense everything was, in a way where if as I was saying, if what I was searching for was experience, sort of, a way to kind of really put myself in the deep end. I feel like there is no deeper end than New York City.
That's probably true.
And it's just that, Los Angeles, there's a lot of music that comes out of there, but I just think something about the lifestyle, the ability to walk around everywhere and access the city very easily. I think, Los Angeles and even London for that matter, there's just a few extra kind of hurdles to really get into the system and get into the groove. I feel like New York, as long as you can, carry a bag up a flight of stairs and you've got a good pair of shoes, you can partake in it.
Right.
So I kind of liked how accessible it was to everyone, musicians, people who work, at a restaurant, at a bar, people who work, at a bank. New York is just full of people who do every kind of job you could think of. So I liked mixing with those people.
Gotcha.
I kind of feel like I like being, not necessarily just hanging out with musicians all the time. Being a musician in a bunch of other careers, other professions, it made me kind of really feel like I was a part of something with a big group of people.
Yep. So once you got there, what did you think of it, and what did it think of you?
Good question. What did I think of it? I thought, God, I love it here. I love this place. I wrote 5 songs in 5 days, which I think, I'd only been there for 5 days, bang, 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 wrote, straight away. So I think, if anything, that was probably the biggest sign of, okay, you should be here, because, when inspiration hits, it can be evasive a lot of the time. So for it to hit and it feel like, oh wow, this is easy, or these are coming out very easy, I thought that was all the kind of, that's the only sign I needed. But what did it think of me? I'm not sure. It didn't really understand me, I think, for a while.
I would guess so.
Yeah, New York was like, it's,
I've heard that one before.
Yeah, it didn't get me. The thing about being there as well is, like, coming from New Zealand, not many people know much about New Zealand in general. So you're sort of, and
now they know Lord of the Rings.
They know Lord of the Rings
and
Lord, and they know, we love your prime minister or your ex-prime minister. So there's a few little touch points there, but ultimately, I was coming from a country that no one really knew much about. I was, making music, but no one knew about my music over there. So it just sort of felt like I was really, an unknown entity, and the city was, the people that I was meeting and the sort of the experiences I was having. There was a lot of the kind of having to reintroduce myself, which in a way kind of was helping me really get to who I was and what the album was going to be about.
Gotcha. Because, let's face it, being in New Zealand, you have the last name of Finn, which carries some
for sure.
Something.
It's always
and of course, Split Ends were in Crowded House, has sold a few records in the States as well.
Totally.
But it's a different thing.
Oh, completely. No one really knows that music at all. So it's sort of there's nothing. I'm not going to really. No one's going to make that connection over there, which is
So how did you deal with the fact that you're kind of a different person over there? You have to, when you meet somebody new, there's a different set of things that are going back and forth.
Yeah, I think that was what, like, when I say, like, going in the deep end, that's what I liked about it, because it was, it's like changing school, or that idea of you have to kind of reintroduce yourself to society, which for me, I think personally has been how I've been able to, well, it's just been a part of my maturation. I think that specific kind of environment where you're having to really, start from scratch is how you grow, is how you evolve. And New York really, you do it quickly there. I think it's, other places that might take you a couple years, 3 years. In New York, 3 months, you can basically, 3 months you could have fallen in love, had your heart broken, made a best friend, lost a best friend, and gotten a new job. It all can happen very, very, very quickly. So with the relatively short amount of time I've had there, I felt like I've been there for a decade.
Yep, I know what you mean. Yeah. I worked there briefly myself in Manhattan at MTV for a while. And, and again, it was like 5 years squashed into 5 days almost, or 5 weeks.
Oh yeah, it's abusive. People like to characterize it as an abusive relationship as well. I think your bad days there are worse than anywhere else in the world, because you really feel like no one gives a shit about me. But I think for me, like, just making the record in that environment and sort of, it's nice there is something to be said about being, if no one cares, you can kind of feel liberated to just do whatever you want.
That's true.
Being in New Zealand, the music I'd made here, the things I'd done here, it just got rid of any expectation, any sort of preconceived idea of me. I was able to really make this record as if they were the first songs I'd ever written.
Gotcha.
Which was great.
So when did the record start to become a record? When did it start to take shape? You got a producer, Sam Evian.
Sam Evian, who very graciously kind of accepted my. Please, can you help me make this album? You know, because I was very committed to making it in the Northeast at least.
Right.
But you know, the record started to take shape, sort of in drips and drabs over the summer. You know, I would just get on the Amtrak and train 2 hours up the Hudson, and then he'd pick me up and he'd take me to his studio, and we would just do that. Probably, you know.
I think you said you recorded up at Woodstock.
Up in Woodstock,
Yep.
So I'd catch the train to Rhinebeck.
Right.
Rhinebeck Station. And then he would drive me. His area is more specifically West Shokan, which is very close to the reservoir,
right,
where New York gets all its water from.
Right.
And so it's sort of the ritual of driving and getting to the studio was like, it really helped you get into the zone. But I'd say the record started to take shape. I mean, just very slowly but surely. It was kind of a really lovely way of working, because opposed to sort of feeling like we had to do a 3-week, 2-week kind of shotgun, let's get this album churned out, one song a day. We would just sort of float and drift in between the songs, and it felt like a very stress-free process in terms of just working a little bit on this, working a little bit on that. And you don't really know you've got the album until you sort of look back. You kind of have to put your head up, and you realize, oh yeah, we've got 12 songs here.
Right.
You know?
Okay. So what kind of discussions did you and Sam have about the sound that you wanted to achieve, and the mood and the feel?
Yeah, I think Sam was really good at sort of setting parameters with the record, because I needed his guidance. It was my first album. I was like, you need to hold my hand here a little bit, as any good producer should do. But he just made little rules in terms of no Spotify in the studio. Like, if you want to use a song as a reference,
right,
let's do that on our lunch break, or let's leave the studio and listen to other music. Like, he wanted to keep it all about our music in the studio, and we said one synthesizer, one synth sound for the whole record.
Okay.
And we only used 2 guitars,
because
one bass.
Because these days you could just spend a week, 3 weeks getting
you
different
can
synth
just,
sounds.
it's like, scrolling just through different sounds, and then you end up going, I don't know. Like, this was very, we had no other choices. If anything, we just wanted to limit our choices.
Yep.
Sam was about, if you're going to make an album and you want it to sonically sound the same, let's just pick from the same 6 things every single time. So he was really good at kind of just establishing very easy to follow, kind of simple parameters for us to make this record in.
All right. Yeah. And I do see that you got a couple of Kiwis on. Your sister's on it.
My sister's singing.
And Brett Adams is there.
Brett Adams, yeah.
Of course, if you're going to make a record, you got to have him.
Oh, I'm going to say Brett was, he's a fantastic guitarist, and just send him the songs, send us back anything.
Right.
So it was a little bit of that, sort of just allowing musicians to listen to the music, think about it, mull it over, and then sort of express themselves and express what they thought would work on it. So it was nice to kind of have that in there as well, working with other musicians. And
you have other writers, co-writers with you.
Yes.
Names are like Martin Kelly and Jack Garrett and Bernard Fanning.
Yes.
They're not names that everybody's familiar with,
yes.
But are they friends of yours?
They've all the songs were sort of finished by me. I'd say there were scraps of songs that were written with these other people. So it was kind of, if anything, they kind of happened along the way prior to the record being made, whether it was like a melody or a line or 2 here. So I think it's like a trail that gets me to the record, and the songwriters are sort of part of the very early trail, where some of these songs I didn't even know what they were or what they were going to be called, and so little kind of fragments of them got through. So the list of songwriters kind of reminds me of the sort of the fragments of the record that kind of existed prior to any of these songs even being finished. Because they all, I kind of went to New York and really collated everything I had, in the chest of songs on my computer, and it kind of wrapped it all up myself, and over a winter there spent by myself. Yeah.
Well, there is a song, I don't know if you're, New York's a Lonely Town. Do you know that one?
I don't think I do.
It's very old, back in the early 60s, I think 45.
Oh, great.
Over somewhere, but it can be a lonely place, even though there's millions of people.
Oh, intensely lonely. You want to talk about you go to spend early January in New York, you may as well feel like you're the only person there.
Yeah. All right, so you've got a couple of shows coming up here.
I do.
After the record's out, Double Whammy and Meow.
Yes.
And my understanding is you're going to get back with your old buddies, musicians that you played with
Yes.
here in New
These
Zealand. So how is that going to work?
So yeah, this is like my high school band that we've done, we've performed under various different names, and we've, played at talent shows and fashion shows at high school. And so yeah, this is sort of a reunion for us, these shows as well. And the first time they've played these songs. So it's a really like full circle feeling to have musicians who have known me for so long, who sat with me in class, take these songs to them. And because I like, when we're together, I like the songs to feel like our songs. It's not so much you're playing for me, these are my songs, this is how I want you to do it. I love it when I just like it when musicians bring their own flair and their own personalities to anything, especially when it comes to my music. Right.
So these musicians, these old friends of yours and old fans of yours who've seen you before, are they going to realize that you're a different person now, a different artist?
To some extent. I mean, I don't feel like I'm a different artist as much as I just feel like this is a fuller picture of what's been out there before. I really wanted to get back to playing an instrument. I mean, I'm someone who I've played in other bands as just a keyboard player.
Well, I think you mentioned that you do like a side hustle where you're doing covers in some bars.
Well, that's right. Yeah, in New York, my one of my side gigs was being in a covers band at a bar or at a club downtown, learning 55, 60 songs to play in a night. So all like I really want to. Given
Did you do
myself
Piano Man. For some reason, it's the first song.
Bit of Billy Joel. I think we probably did it. I mean, we're talking 60 songs, so we probably had to do it. We ran out of material. Probably did it a couple of times, to be honest. But I mean, I'm really as much as I'm a songwriter, as an artist, I also really, just being a musician is something that I love deeply. And I've been a musician, have been a member of bands in the past. So I think, this version of myself, or what people will see at the gig, is probably just, it's the musician in me, the one who wants to play piano and get behind a guitar and sing, and, really hopefully inspire people to pick up instruments. And maybe, someone wants to go home after the gig and go, God, I want to learn how to play the piano. Those kind of things.
So do you see yourself as a long-term New Yorker, or is it
I hope so. I mean, the city definitely wants it's tough to stay there. I think the city's like, if you're not up for it, you're going to get kicked out and someone's going to take your place. So if I'm lucky, I would love to stay there for a lot longer. I mean, I've been there for a few years now, so I've made some really great friends there. I've had some really great experiences there, so it feels quite natural to be there now. It does definitely feel like a second home. I mean, I miss it. I've been away for quite a few months now, so there's definitely, it's sort of calling me, and I can hear it sort of.
What do you miss about it?
I think I miss just being by myself and the time. I just miss being left alone. Okay, I want to be left alone. No, I mean, I think I miss. I don't know. It's just it's kind of funny to say, but it's almost the sort of mundane, every day-to-day life there. The sort of putting my headphones in, walking to the laundromat, dropping my laundry off, going down to the Chinese dumpling place, getting my $6 wonton noodle soup, walking back to my apartment, waiting for the laundry. It sounds incredibly boring.
And I hope you've discovered the pizza.
Oh yeah, I mean, I live on the same street as it's called Scars Pizza. Fantastic. I mean,
then you're doing it right.
I was going to say, I was saying this to someone else. The role of pizza in New York is the same role as, say, a coffee is in New Zealand,
or a pie, or
a pie, in the sense of the ceremony of going to get a slice. If you're at a club or you're somewhere, it's a really great way to break up the night. If you go, should we go get a slice? Or, hey, would you be interested? It's just the activity of going to get a slice of pizza. A lot can happen. I mean, one of my songs, Maple, is about that very experience. Going with someone, taking them from saying, should we get out of this dive bar and let's go get a slice of pizza and, talk about life. It's sort of like a pizza can start some very deep conversations. I have been on the receiving end of some very deep conversations, sort of like wiping the oil off my face as someone was,
There you go. All right.
Divulging their deepest, darkest secrets. But, I just miss just those kind of things, I guess, sort of it's the lifestyle. I mean, I miss my friends, of course, but I think, I really enjoy spending time alone there and just, having my headphones in and observing the world. Just very, things that don't cost money. It's like the things that are free in New York are often the best things.
Alrighty, very good. Well, thank you for all that.
Thank you, Marty.
Appreciate it.
No,
hey,
my
good.
pleasure.
I'm looking forward to seeing the show.
Absolutely, I'll be looking for you.
Following you for, it seems like years. Well, it is years.
Well, you have. I was just saying to someone before this interview, because I used to work at the Tuning Fork. for many, like for 3 years. So I will always see you there.
Oh, yeah.
So it's full circle. Like now we're like hanging out, chatting, and we've been chatting for a few years.
Nothing has changed here.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I'm about to head back off on tour, so it's like, back to the kind of
cool
traveling lifestyle, which is exciting.
Very good. Thank you very much. Good luck with everything.
Marty.
If you enjoyed this episode of the 13th Floor's Music Talk series, please be sure to subscribe to the website or to the YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook or Instagram and wherever you find your podcasts. There's a whole lot more to discover.